I'm glad to be back.
Glad to have you back. We've had you here by Zoom,
Right.
but first time in years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm glad to be maskless for the time being and in person even more. So.
Well, we appreciate being a member of the BBB, but we also appreciate all the, I think, advocacy that you do, keep people and their money from being separated.
Yes. We want you to keep your money.
Yes. So I like to talk about scams because I think every time you come in, there's like a new scam, and there's no shortage of that.
No, scammers continue to be incredibly creative. So the ones that I wanted to talk about this go-round is using Amazon as the reason that we need your money. And one of them happened to a 79-year-old lady who was doing the dishes, picked up her phone, didn't check the caller ID, and they insisted that her identity had been used with 5 different bank accounts, and she was being threatened by a U.S. Marshal on this phone call.
Oh my gosh.
For money laundering. Well, the thing is, it wasn't really a U.S. Marshal, but got her in such a tiz that she went to the bank, drained her bank account, put it on gift cards, and all within 24 hours, $5,000 of gift cards were wiped to zero.
Oh, no.
And the difficulty is that she was left with about $2,000, and she almost gave him that part because they said, well, put it on the gift cards, we'll take the gift cards, and then we'll give it back to you. Well, no. They'll never do that. And when she did go to the bank teller did say, why the big transaction? Why are you essentially draining your bank account? And she lied. She said, oh, I've got bills and I've got carpet, So the bank tried to stop her, but she was so upset and so concerned that she'd be going to jail for money laundering, even though she did nothing. She essentially gave away $5,000.
Wow.
Fast forward to a young woman, 26 years old, same kind of scam in the sense that we wanted to tell you your ID's been hacked, we have your social security number, and we believe that you have multiple bank accounts at multiple banks. And she slipped and said, I don't bank there, I bank here.
Ooh.
So they immediately had where she was banking. They again said, we need you to get your money out of that account so there's no money laundering happening. We'll take that money, we'll keep it safe, and we will actually have a U.S. Marshal show up at your door tomorrow. So give us your address. So it just gets deeper and deeper and deeper. She lost $2,600, and sadly, she's young enough that she's not making a ton of money. But thankfully, she has family and her boyfriend to kind of help pay the bills because she's making about $14 an hour. And when you lose $2,600, that's a significant blow to your budget.
Well, it's too bad because all the things, as you tell these stories, you're hearing all what I say are red flags. If someone says to a U.S. Marshal and then they ask you where you live, I'd say, good luck. It's like, you don't know where I live, you're a U.S. Marshal and you're threatening me with arrest and you don't know where I live. Okay, well, that's, and I'm glad you said the bank tried to stop that first lady because that's the first thing I thought. Because these bank people, they're trained to watch for this stuff happening, right?
And it actually did happen again for the lady with the $2,600, and she lied and said she had car repairs because the Marshal person keeps saying, don't tell anybody. In fact, going back to the first example, the lady drained her account one day and then went to the police department the next day. But by that time, everything is gone. Yeah. So when you're looking at what not to do, if they're pushing urgency, you have to do it today or else, that's a huge red flag. And when anything in regards to Amazon, so the impetus was saying to the 26-year-old that somebody bought a MacBook Pro and the cost was $1,000. And she's like, I didn't buy that. And, it just goes into this, long-winded story. But when you don't buy anything on Amazon or anything like what they're saying on Amazon, stop. Because also, Amazon is going to do their level best to prevent that kind of fraud going on. In fact, they have a self-serve fraud page on their website, so you can plug it in, because what they are trying to do is actually come up with situations that they will red flag. So again, if either one of these women had contacted Amazon, they would have said, no, let's stop the transaction, you're not in trouble, and they would have stopped it. So they have since been notified of it, but Amazon is doing everything they can. But as I said at the beginning, scammers are darn creative, and they really throw that fear of God into every one of their victims.
The volume of business that Amazon does, they're not going to stop everything.
They can't.
And it's like, you think Amazon's got to take some responsibility for this, because they're the tool of the scammers, and they're complicit in a way.
Well, and coincidentally, they are working with BBB and our institute, our International Institute, and trying to create more depth in our scam tracker app, so we can find more situations so we can prevent it in the future. In fact, the 26-year-old young woman was, I don't want this to happen to anybody else. She literally called us the next morning and said, hey, this just happened to me. That kind of information, though people feel embarrassed, don't, because my husband's been scammed. My parents have been scammed. They are crafty. They are ingenious. And when you're looking at, they caught you off guard, they're throwing the sense of fear into you, and you don't want to be in trouble, of course you will slip. Mm-hmm. Because you're protective. You don't want things to go wrong. And you certainly don't want it to affect your family, so you comply. You do what they say.
And they do. A few years ago, my mother-in-law got a call. Grandma, this is your grandson. And my mother-in-law said, John? And he said, yes. It wasn't John.
No.
But she didn't realize she was giving them information to build their little case. Now, are these scammers, are they overseas?
In one of the cases, it sounded like he was from the islands, like Bermuda and that area. The other one very much sounded American. So again, it's not always the telltale accent that will, kind of alert you.
Well, here's something that happened to me and someone else that works here in the same week. Luckily, we stopped before we fell victim, but the way this works is you get an email from someone who appears to be your friend. A friend sends you an email. Hey, Bart, you shop on Amazon?
Who doesn't?
So I wrote back, what's up? And this is the person that, to me, it doesn't seem real technologically savvy, so I thought, whatever.
Right.
And then he wrote back and said, hey, I got a friend. She's got cancer. Today's her birthday. I wanted to get her a gift card on Amazon. I just tried to do it on my card, and they said there's an issue. It's going to take 2 days to resolve, but I need to get that to her today. I'll run the money down to you if you could help me, and use your. And I thought, wait a minute, this just doesn't seem right. And I looked in the email. Oh, there's one letter off. That's not who it is.
Right.
And then I realized, same thing happened a week later.
Right.
Almost an identical story. And, but it went a little further.
Right.
But this time, Amazon stopped it.
Right. So again, reporting it to the Better Business Bureau or to the organization in which is purported to be a part of the scam, and Amazon in this case, is huge, because that's the only way we all know what to prevent. And so don't ever feel embarrassed. We will do our best to help you through whatever it is. I will never guarantee that we'll get you your money back, but at least we can prevent somebody else falling prey to that scam.
Is it possible that there's enough of this happening that the police are actually able to conduct some sort of action against these people?
So there's a couple of things that I know of, but I'm not in the middle of. IC3, which is with the FBI, the CIA, Homeland Security, BBB is a part of it. We do our best to throw all our information about scams into one pot. If we can trace the communication, the FBI and Homeland Security are trying to go after them. Coincidentally, I also have people at AT&T that as they're finding that internet connection, that URL, they're trying to shut them down as well. So again, knowledge is power. And if we don't have the knowledge, we don't have the power. So again, I can't emphasize it enough. Don't feel embarrassed. We've heard almost all of it. The story's a little different, but the end result is all the same. So don't worry about it. And our first person that you'll talk to, Brenda, she's the first, helped the 26-year-old woman to relax and realize that she's not unique in a sad sense, but at the same time, we know what to do and how to prevent it in the future.
Yeah, and this is maybe severe, but you can set your phone so that it only rings when it's someone you know,
Right.
with someone your contact. And so if someone you don't know is trying to call you and they can't get through to you, who cares,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile are all throwing numbers through that says potential spam or scam. Don't answer those. Let it go to voicemail. And again, if you don't know the number, don't pick it up. Because the other part of it, and one of the things, if it says it's the IRS, don't believe it. Because the IRS is not calling you.
They're not calling.
And Amazon generally doesn't call you either.
No.
So when those larger organizations say they're calling you, just leave it, go to voicemail.
Right, they're not calling you. Viewer wanted me to ask you, debit card versus
Credit card?
credit card, people are asked at the touchpad screen,
Right.
should they enter their PIN? What's the best?
If you're using your debit card at a retailer that you're not comfortable with, if you have a credit card in your wallet, pull out the credit card.
Okay.
Always. And the reason being is that I will say, I use my debit card at Meijer all the time and I push my PIN in. They have enough information and protections in place, and they're constantly updating their information on how to protect us all. But if I'm at a gas station I've never been to before, I'll use my credit card.
'Cause there's
It's
those-
just safer.
What about you have a debit card, and you have the choice when you check out
Right.
to enter your PIN or bypass the PIN.
It's here nor there for me, but I understand the worry, so I probably use credit.
Yeah.
It's still, you're still giving them the number. So it's just a matter of that card, how quickly can it get into your checking account?
Yeah.
Because it's still a debit card.
All right. Well, always something, unfortunately, but thanks for looking out for
Not a
us.
problem. Glad to be here.
Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Not a problem.
In person for the first time in years, the CEO of the Better Business Bureau serving Eastern Michigan, including all of our area, Melanie Ducanal. Well, we've got birthday